need to say this carefully. What you're about to hear isn't a collection of ghost stories or urban legends or anything exaggerated for entertainment. These are real experiences. They happened in ordinary places, places that are supposed to be safe, familiar, forgettable. I'm sharing them because for a long time I convinced myself that nothing was wrong, that I was overthinking, that fear only exists when something obvious happens. Each of these stories taught me the same thing in a different way. Isolation doesn't protect you. Crowds don't protect you. And locked doors don't mean what we think they mean. The worst moments didn't happen when something attacked me. They happened when I realized I had already been watched for a long time. Story 1. The Silence in the Snow. I took a solo winter trip to a state forest in northern Colorado. Late January, no reservations, no cell signal. I wanted quiet. I work a job where noise never stops, and the idea of snow-absorbing sound felt comforting. The ranger station was open, but empty when I arrived. A clipboard on the counter, a handwritten note reminding hikers that snowfall had been heavier than expected. I signed my name anyway. The trailhead parking lot had only one other vehicle, an older pickup dusted with snow. No footprints leading away from it. I remember thinking the owner must already be deep into the woods. The forest was silent in a way that felt physical. Snow doesn't just muffle sound, it removes it. My boots made a dull, swallowed crunch. Even my breathing felt too loud. I set up camp just before sunset, a small clearing, trees spaced far enough apart that I could see shadows stretch as the light faded. No wind, no animals, nothing. That night, I woke up because the silence felt different. It wasn't broken, it was interrupted. Something had shifted nearby, not close enough to hear footsteps, but close enough that my body reacted before my brain did. I lay still, listening for the sound that would explain it. Nothing came. Minutes passed. Maybe longer. Time feels strange when nothing moves. Then I noticed what was wrong. The snow around my tent had been disturbed, not trampled, not messy, just compressed, like someone had stood there for a while, close enough that if they leaned forward, they could have touched the fabric. I didn't unzip the tent. I didn't call out. I told myself it was an animal, but animals don't stand still. They don't linger without sound. I lay there until my muscles started to ache. At some point I realized something else. Whoever it was had walked away. There were no retreating footsteps, just an absence where presence had been. I didn't sleep again. At dawn, I packed without eating, without warming up, without checking anything else. As I hiked back, I noticed a second set of tracks beside mine. They matched my pace. They stopped when I stopped. They never passed me. At the trailhead, the old pickup was gone. Only then did I accept that I'd never been alone out there. Story 2. The Man Who Should Not Have Been There. This happened in Chicago, downtown, summer, the kind of place where being alone feels impossible. I noticed him in a crowd outside a train station. He stood still while everyone else flowed around him. Mid-30s, maybe, plain clothes, no phone, no bag. He was watching me. I assumed coincidence. People glance at each other all the time. I crossed the street. He was already there, not walking fast, not rushing, just present. Throughout the afternoon, I saw him again. at a food stand, on an elevated platform, across the street from a cafe window. Each time he was positioned in a way that didn't make sense. He never reacted when our eyes met. No smile, no curiosity, just recognition, like he already knew the outcome of something. I tested it, took a wrong turn, entered a store, and exited through a different door. When I looked up, he was standing near a bus stop I hadn't passed. The crowd ignored him completely. People brushed past his shoulder without adjusting their stride. I told myself he was just another commuter, another face blending into thousands. That explanation failed when I saw him inside my building lobby that evening. He didn't enter behind me. He was already there, standing near the elevator, facing the wall, as if he'd been waiting without checking the time. I took the stairs. The next morning, he stood across the street from my building, same clothes, same posture. He never followed. He never chased. He just kept appearing where he shouldn't have been able to reach. I moved apartments 2 months later. I still check reflections in glass, because crowds didn't stop him. They helped him disappear. Story 3. The house that was never empty. I live alone in a quiet suburb outside Columbus, Ohio. The kind of neighborhood where nothing changes. Same cars, same lights, same routines. And I am a person who notices routine. Every morning, I wake up at 6:40, coffee at 6:47, shower at 6:55, lock the door at 7:22. I know this because I check the lock twice. Always have. The first thing I noticed was the chair. I don't move the dining chair closest to the hallway. Ever. One morning, it was angled slightly toward the door. Not much, just enough to look wrong. I corrected it and forgot about it. Then the front door started feeling lighter. The deadbolt clicked, but without resistance. I told myself temperature changes can warp wood. One evening, I found the bathroom light off when I was certain I'd left it on. Another time, the shower curtain was pulled back farther than usual. I blamed myself. I always did. Things weren't broken, they were being used. That's what made it easy to ignore. A week later, my phone charger was unplugged when I woke up, not removed, just disconnected. Like someone needed the outlet, briefly. I stood in the kitchen, completely still, and listened. The house made its normal noises, pipes, distant traffic, nothing else. That night, I wedged a chair under the bedroom door handle. Not because I was scared, because it felt logical. In the morning, the chair was gone. It wasn't tipped over. It was back at the dining table. I didn't scream. I didn't panic. I sat on the edge of the bed and tried to understand how I could have done that without remembering. The police came later that day. They checked doors, windows, attic access. They found food wrappers in a crawl space I didn't use, a blanket I didn't own, and a phone, not powered on, just placed carefully on a beam. The officer didn't look at me when he said it. Someone had been living in my house at night while I slept. They never stole anything important, never damaged anything. Never left signs meant to be discovered quickly. Before they left, the police showed me something from my own laptop, a video file, time-stamped at 3:12 a.m. It showed my bedroom doorway and someone standing just outside it, not moving, watching. I don't live there anymore. But sometimes when a room is too quiet, I still feel like the house hasn't realized I left. And that's the part that never goes away.